We've done 37 of these.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Greg and Tim Show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought you meant something specifically.
No, don't worry about that at all.
All right.
You're all good.
Okay.
Do you need me to slap you again?
Can you slap me once?
No.
No, just once. You can.
An actual slap?
Yeah.
No.
Do it. Do it. Oh, yes. Thank you.
There you go.
Get your earballs ready. Welcome to the Greg and Tim Show podcast. Take time to sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Here are your hosts, Greg and Tim.
Well, welcome to the Greg and Tim Show. To my immediate
Just
right,
jumping
to
in.
the viewers' left, is my buddy Greg.
You're right. Viewers left.
Two truths, one lie, Stuart.
Okay, thanks a lot.
You're looking good,
That's a great intro.
You're looking good, my friend.
Yeah, and you're looking the same.
The same?
Yeah, the same as you always look.
I don't think
Except
so.
you have a beard.
That's right.
Yeah, do I look different?
You look extremely different. There's
Okay.
something. Can't put
Something
my finger
different
on it.
about me, eh?
Today, we have a special guest in our studio.
We do. Her name is Aly Raposo. She is an entrepreneur, a speaker, a researcher, an amazing advocate for mental health. She works with the city of Winnipeg. She works with the Canadian Association for Suicide Prevention. She has her own therapy clinic as well. She's doing like everything. And on top of that, she's starting a podcast with one of our former guests.
Yeah, that's the connection. We had Jasmine Lane here
Yes.
a few number of weeks ago, and you are doing.
Well, let's welcome her in.
welcome in.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
First things first. You're one of the few guests. Because we try to get guests in, we ask many times, and they say no half the time. Sometimes it's difficult to get dates.
Half the time? It's like 99% of the time.
Aw.
Yeah.
But you're the first person that contacted us and actually wanted to be on our podcast. And we want to know, they want to know, Greg wants to know why.
Well, I heard really good things from my business partner, Jasmine. So she had just like recently before I reached out, done an episode with you guys, and she was hooting and hollering about it. And she said it was a really great time. A lot of the time, she and I both will say yes to things and then we dread them. You know, like we're like all week it gets closer to it and we're like, why did we
do
say
not wanna
yes
do
to
that.
But then we were like, hey, she didn't dread it. She was like, it's actually a really good time. So I was like, oh, okay. She's like, you should do it. Like, they're just starting up and they have a really cool thing going. I think they're probably going to definitely go somewhere with it. And so I was like, okay, done deal. I listened to her and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, you've just met us, so let's leave the judgment to
Right,
the end here
right.
because there might be some things that we get into that you are like, how do we talk about that and why do we talk about that? But first things first, how's your day going?
Good. Better now. Traffic is crazy,
Yeah,
like insane.
Winnipeg.
Yeah. Well, I also live out of the city, so I was working from home today.
Oh, okay.
And so I live out in like St. Anne.
Okay.
So there's like construction everywhere in the city, but like also on the highways right now. So like kind of by Deacon's Corner, it was
Yeah.
like backed up and I'm like, oh, I left early because I wanted to stop and get myself French fries. But then I was like, I need to budget more time in other ways. But work was a little chaotic, but the drive was definitely more chaotic. But I'm feeling good now. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling calm and over being in my vehicle.
Where were you going to get French fries?
Well, it was originally going to be A&W because Deacon's Corner, but then I was like, that's not happening. That right
Yep.
turn in there is just, it's a total no-go.
Yeah.
And so then I was just going to do McDonald's. And so I dropped my dog off on the way here and my grandma brought me a little snack plate.
Nice.
And so I didn't have to do
Grandmas.
any, I know, I didn't have to do anything. It was perfect.
So no French fries, but what did Grandma bring you?
It was like a little array of bacon and cheese and I think it was turkey, like just like little like pickings, but honestly it is exactly what I needed. I didn't want to like shove anything
Yeah.
big in my stomach, but it was just like a little bit of peppers and pickles.
Just something to get you
Yeah,
by.
just something to get me by. But
If
like,
you need a
that's my-
power bar or anything, just let us know.
No, I'll be good. I'll
we
be
got a whole
good.
bunch
That
of
was-
stuff.
We have power bars?
Well, I do, yes. I'll let Aly have.
I never heard about these power bars.
Wait, I just got them at Costco with you.
Okay.
Remember?
Yeah.
Remember, you're like, those ones aren't good. And I got them anyway. So that's why I got them. Anyway, so one of our first questions that we always ask our guest is sometimes a hard question. Our last guest was actually prepared because they did an exercise on a phone call about this actual question.
Oh, interesting.
So the question is, we're going to get to know you as a professional, but not as a professional. Who is the real Aly Raposo?
The real Aly Raposo. That's a loaded question, but I love it. I think also because I'm often so stuck in the professional world that
Yeah.
like I'll go from one hat to the next, from like, politics to counseling to board of directors work. And so that never really is like a thing that comes up. So I love that. I'm a Portuguese woman. My dad immigrated to Canada.
Okay.
So I grew up in like a very traditional home. My mom and my dad are divorced, but my family's like super gung ho, all about the culture, and so that was how I grew up, with my cousins running around my grandparents' house, and that was kind of my upbringing. I played soccer all my life, so that has a huge influence on who I am now. But
So
I'd say,
that might be why you and Jasmine get along so well. She loves soccer.
oh God,
Well, she
yeah.
more so loves watching
The
people
dramatics,
yeah.
right? Yeah, I
Is it
know.
Watching soccer
drunk.
drunk.
Yeah,
Mhm,
drunk.
Yeah.
Drinking while
Do
watching
you
soccer.
also drink while watching soccer, or just enjoy soccer sober?
Oh, you have to drink when you watch soccer, especially like when you're in World Cups and stuff. That stuff gets heated, man. Like it gets crazy.
So do you do the whole soccer, like when you're playing? Are you falling over? Are you dramatizing things?
Honestly,
Are
like
you a part-time actor while you're playing the game?
honestly, like there was some girls that I was like, what's in their water, man? Because we were way smaller than them, just like in general. Like I was like, they're way older than us. They gotta be. Somebody check their birth certificates, because
Yeah.
they were like big. Like they were just way bigger than us. And so I'd get taken out. There was no need for dramatics. Like I would be flying across the field.
They're
all
probably
the
like
time.
Interlake girls, though, right?
It was always
like,
Oak Bank.
Yeah.
Oak
Yeah.
Bank girls. They were
They're
just
bigger in the country.
They are. And so yeah, that was kind of a huge piece of who I am today. Like I still want to play. I'm definitely like totally gassed when I run now, but I try. What else about Aly? I guess I'm a total introvert. Like I'm an extroverted introvert. So like if you work with me, everybody would probably think the opposite, because I'm very much so out there. But
Yep.
like I'm totally cool with just living
Doing whatever.
doing nothing at home. Like I
Yeah.
have chickens and I have pigs and I have a big yard I need to take care of, and like
So you're in the country. You can
that's
have
my
all those kind of animals.
that's my thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I love that.
Okay.
So,
Mhm.
so we actually, there's a term for that. It's called I think it's called an ambivert.
Okay.
That's an extrovert, introvert, and that's sometimes I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Where sometimes you feel like very, very outgoing, and other times it's just kind of chill time, right?
Yeah,
Well,
totally.
We should bring up the first topic then.
You actually said what our next question was. If you take a
Mm.
look at the board, if you take a look behind you, it says topic 2, introvert versus extrovert.
Wow.
You actually beat it. Don't skip ahead though.
Okay, no,
Don't skip
I only read the second one, I swear.
So you say that you're an introvert.
Yeah.
What is your definition of an introvert?
I think for me, it's about like a social battery is what I always go back to. And like my partner gets it now. Like it's kind of like this spoken language where I'm like, dude, I'm at like a 40%. Like
Okay.
my social battery, if we're going out and like speaking with other people or going out for drinks or even whatever, like it has to be somebody I really want to go out with.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's like going to require at least like 80% social battery, right? So it's all about my battery. Like I wish I had like a little thing on top of my head that would
Like The
show it to
Sims?
people. Yeah, exactly. But like that's all it's about for me, and I get exhausted like if I have a ton of stuff out and I'm like like networking and doing work stuff, like this is chill, but like at work and stuff I'm just like my social battery like depletes like
Yeah.
hugely. And so I think just like being at home is my thing. Being alone, even like my partner is a railroader and he goes away for a couple days, and like I'm okay with it. Like
Yeah.
I'm, you know what I mean? Like I'm not losing sleep.
Chill
over
time to
that.
yourself.
Yeah.
Relax.
It's like I actually like my battery goes. I'm like putting it up here now because
Yeah.
that's where it should be. It just like
I'll
charges.
put it up there.
Yeah,
Post
like
for you.
it charges when I'm alone. So like I think that that's hugely what I would think as an introvert. Is that the same for you guys?
So it's interesting that you asked that question of us, because that's kind of the way our conversation was going to be built. We've discussed this in past episodes,
Mhm.
and it's funny because the definition that why don't you tell the definition that you
Yeah.
had of
Of
what that
introvert and
means? Yeah.
extrovert. So an introvert is somebody who gains energy from being alone.
One person's definition anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
And an extrovert gains energy by being social.
Mm-hmm.
So an introvert doesn't necessarily not want to be social.
Yeah.
They just lose their energy by being social. Whereas an extrovert, if they're at home by themselves, they have to go out to gain
Yeah.
their energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people think of the definition of an introvert as being somebody who just doesn't want to socialize, somebody that wants to be staying in, closed in, that type of
Yeah.
thing. Whereas Tim and I have actually come to understand that we're actually opposites.
And I'll go from there.
Yeah.
So because we live so many years of our life and we behaviorally, environmentally, we learn to deal with certain things in different ways. We think that, first of all, I think I am an extrovert
Okay.
in that I gain energy by being around people. However, I've learned introverted tendencies through life, through whatever 40 some odd years that I've lived. And Greg is the opposite. He thinks that he loses energy, so he is actually an introvert, quote unquote, but he actually
I have
has learned
extroverted
extroverted tendencies.
Okay, I can relate to that one because I think it's totally situational and dependent on what I'm doing, what like the actual activity is, and who it's with.
Yeah.
That will totally change it because sometimes I can hang out with like one of my girlfriends and I'm like totally energized from it. But then if it's like, you know, hanging with family or distant family or like a I don't know, something that's just like not very exciting.
Yes.
Somebody that you need a
I know
social,
what
you
you're
know,
talking about.
like somebody that you need social battery for. It's
You
like
said about hanging with
drained.
Lisa, right?
I did not say that. Do not throw me under that bus.
I just didn't say that.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have different areas where you're going to gain energy. Like after this interview, I'll be drained just because like we're going to be socializing this whole time. And at the end, Lorraine will be like, hey, can you go do this and go do that? I'm like, I am done. Right?
Yeah,
like I'm
my
done.
battery is low.
Yeah, so I have to take like a few moments by myself. I'll go into my office and I'll start uploading everything and start like recharging.
Yeah.
And then I'll go upstairs and help with the kids and put them to bed and that type of thing, right? So
I love that. I love the recharging because I'm just like picturing you as like a Mario
Plugging
player,
in.
like something like.
So let's say you get down to your 18%. How do you recharge? What are your favorite things to do to recharge?
So definitely being outside, given that it's nice enough weather. Like if it's really gray or anything, then I will hide from the outside because I feel like my mood is so dependent. Like I know that it's for everybody. You can have like some sort of impact by weather just based off of, you know, the sun and or lack of
circadian rhythm.
And so for me, like I genuinely will feel very lethargic and gross if it's like that outside. And like I am a product of the weather.
Yeah.
Maybe mental, but who knows? And so I think for me, it's just either going outside or sitting and just listening to music and like mindless music. I've never been like a TV girl or like a show girl or any of that stuff. Like a movie every now and then is good.
Yeah.
But I just like I'm
You
all
don't
about
binge?
No,
No?
like I have binged a couple things. If it's like I don't know, like if it's like killer stuff, you know what I mean? Or like
Okay.
crime and true crime, like that's like my jam. But I can't do like TV shows and stuff like that. So mostly just music, chilling with my dog, and just like being alone and like resting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my loves is true crime. I'm a big Mafia enthusiast.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you follow Mafia stuff at all?
Just like I guess vicariously through my dad, and he was
Okay.
always talking about like Portuguese mafia growing up, and
There's
how-
a Portuguese Mafia?
I don't know. It's just one of those things that
My,
Right? Like, if
my
I-
uncle's Portuguese.
it's,
and-
it's just like if I had a boyfriend, my dad in the Portuguese mafia would come
Oh,
out.
that
So it was
kind of
one
Portuguese
those
mafia.
things. Yeah, like
yeah.
yeah, he's like, you don't want to mess around with that because you know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, Tim's big into Mafia. We follow this person named Michael Franzese,
Okay.
and he's one of the few made men that is still alive and not in jail.
In the
Oh.
1990s, there was a list of top 50 U.S.-born mafia, like wealthiest mafia people, and he was number 18, and John Gotti was number 13.
Oh wow.
And of the 50 people on that list, he is the only one still alive or and out of prison. So
Oh wow.
So if you have any contact through the Portuguese Mafia,
mhm.
Tim would like to have him on the show.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Can you imagine?
he actually spoke at a church that we went to in Vancouver.
Oh, well, that's a very interesting parallel.
Yeah.
he since has turned his life around.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's a
He's-
born again Christian, and
Okay.
he's actually speaking at churches and telling his testimony at churches now.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
What a cool way to retire.
I know, right? It would be
Because in the old mafia term, retired meant something else.
Yeah, exactly,
He actually,
right?
quote unquote, retired.
closer.
Both of us have got our mics adjusted.
Mhm.
You're just
Not-
a quieter guy.
Quieter than me.
He put the mic in front of me.
Really.
Yeah.
I'm just belting it out. I have to change the levels after the fact.
you put
so
the mic in front of my mouth.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I tried putting it closer. All right, back to the killing people stuff.
Back to the mafia.
So true crime is something that you enjoy then?
Yeah, like I mean, if I'm going to binge something, it's got to be like some sort of like crazy true
Making a
crime
Murderer?
thing.
Did you watch that?
No.
Oh.
I'm mostly thinking about like old school stuff, but also anything to do with like for instance this baby reindeer thing that came out. Not necessarily true crime, but like anything also kind of weird,
Okay.
right? Like anything that's also like I used to love watching Intervention, and like my obsession, my strange obsession is like TLC stuff, like
Oh,
just
okay.
crazy weird
When it stopped
stuff.
being TLC and
Yeah,
started being
I don't
like,
even know what AT&T. I don't even know anymore.
well, it's still TLC, but
Is
it's
it?
not the Learning Channel anymore. I
Okay,
don't know
it's
what
not.
it stands
It's
for.
something's crazy. Yeah, it's all gone wild.
It's like the musical artist, TLC, right? No?
No,
Oh,
that's a whole different
there is
TLC.
a thing, but
There's
yeah.
also
So Making a Murderer is probably one of the only ones I watched, but I watched one, and I think I sent it to you, about a mafia family that actually bought a hockey team.
Oh.
And it was really cool because it like blended hockey, which I like sports, with the mafia.
Yeah.
So-
Well, what a nice little mix.
That's right.
What a
Can you
fun
imagine
mix.
playing for that team and finding out that your team's owned by the mafia?
you've been cut. No, really.
No, literally.
Yeah, no.
You're out of
It
here.
means something different here.
Oh man. So introvert, extrovert, you find yourself to be an introvert, which kind of leads us into the next question. Have you ever heard of the word JOMO?
No.
Have you
Okay.
ever heard the word FOMO?
Yeah, fear of missing out.
Okay.
Okay.
So JOMO
Joy. Ah, okay.
of missing out.
Okay.
So FOMO versus JOMO is another thing that we've talked about in the past, and the reason why we want to bring it up to you is because you have like a little bit of a counseling, well, not a little bit, you have a counseling
Yeah.
background, a whole counseling background, and it's something that is interesting to us because we heard it spoken on, and then we discussed it with each other about like, he thinks that I'm FOMO, I think that I have a blend of both, even though he'll argue it till he's blue in the face. If you're an introvert, do you think that you have JOMO?
That's a good one. I think maybe when I was younger and it was more like, what is everybody doing on the weekends or like going out and stuff like that, maybe I'd have a little bit of FOMO. But I think as time goes on and like hangovers become way too real, I have a little bit of JOMO in that sense. But also like I think I used to be a lot like that, especially with work. Like if I didn't go to all the events or like see it and then I'd see pictures of like all these networking after and like cool people that went. And I'm like,
Yep.
oh, I could have got a picture with that guy. But like now I'm like, I don't care about that guy. You know, like I think it's just like something over the years that have shifted. I think it's just age and experiences because now I'm like, meh.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like I'll probably just shake it off type thing. But I know like my partner is the total opposite. Like he is FOMO all day long and like
So
extrovert
even
all
as
day
he's
long. Like
Even as he's grown up, he's
yeah,
still
oh, he's
FOMO.
so extroverted and so FOMO, and I'm just like, well, good on ya, man, because
Yeah.
I can't.
But you said he's a railroader, right?
Mhm.
So my brother's also a railroader.
Okay.
He's on the road for 2 days,
Yeah.
going back and forth by himself or with one other person,
Yeah.
that type of thing. Do you think that his battery is overcharged?
No, like when he comes
When he comes
back,
back?
he is so drained just because
Okay.
it's one person, and usually like they don't get along, or like there's just nothing to talk about, or the other person doesn't want to talk and he does.
Yeah.
And so like he's just like dying for like social interaction when he gets home.
So that definition then really works true to him.
Yes.
Because he's not gaining energy by being by himself.
No, he's not.
literally draining himself.
He is.
And now he's got to
Yeah, he's like
go
a zombie
out.
when he gets back.
For the benefit of the viewer, what is a railroader again?
Well,
Or for Tim, actually, the benefit of
he's
Tim.
If I'm not 100% sure what it is, I think I do. Someone else might not be either.
He's an engineer for CN, so he's a locomotive engineer. So not like engineer, but like he drives the train engineer, and he sits with the conductor. So he's
Okay.
always paired up with a conductor. And I hear all about how either good or crappy. It totally depends. If it was like a cool conductor and they got to talk a lot, he's like mid, like he's like a 50% battery.
Yeah.
But if it's like a really lame conductor, then he's like
Like
just
an older guy that's
yeah,
just
that just
grumpy at
and
the
some of them
world.
just sleep, honestly, which is kind of alarming. But
I don't know if that's allowed.
yeah, like they just do, you know. Like I've gotten a few like pictures of guys like full head tilt, just like snoring. I'm like, that's
Oh, wow.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I know that my brother talks about it. Like he's not allowed to be on his phone.
Mhm.
He's got to be very like alert during
Yeah.
the time. So maybe they can trade off. I don't know how that works, but
No, I don't know how it works.
we
I
won't
just-
say his name, so
Yeah.
we won't throw him under the bus on
Yeah,
this one.
no.
Or the
Or
train.
the train. You beat me to it.
Throw under the
I
train,
beat you
yeah.
to it. Throw Mama from the. Is it what was it called? Throw Mama from the train.
Yeah.
You might be too young for that movie.
Yeah, I think I might be because I
That was,
never heard of it.
You've never heard of it?
That was
No, but that's
uh,
like, is that a movie
John
name?
Candy.
John Candy and
Was it
Steve
Crystal?
Steve Martin,
Martin,
and
yeah.
Billy Crystal, I think.
Yeah.
Like OG comedians. Like,
It's just like quite the name. Right?
do you know John Candy?
Do you know who's-
Steve Martin?
Steve Martin.
I'm really bad for that.
Okay.
Like
Do you-
terrible.
Have
Well,
you
she doesn't watch
seen
TV or
old
movies.
Like if I said some classic old movies, would you know them?
Depends on if I consider them classic.
Yeah.
No, maybe not.
Do you know
classic, but-
Gremlins?
Mhm, yes. Okay. I know Gremlins. Come on.
Like, what is with Gremlins?
I think Jasmine actually loves that movie.
She does.
always wants
That's
to watch
why I
it.
asked if
So
you
weird.
knew Gremlins too.
Like I don't rely on that one or go back to it, but she definitely does.
Okay.
Yeah, that's her thing.
Well, that's how you know she talks about it
hmm
probably all the time.
Oh, all the time. She wants
Yeah.
to watch it all the time.
So what would the earliest childhood movie that you have in your brain right now?
The earliest one for
Yeah.
like
That
right
she
away.
watched or that she's gone back.
That you can remember watching?
Right away was Sound of Music. Like that's the
Okay,
first
that's a
thing
really old movie though.
Yeah, like that's just I remember watching it at my grandparents' house and singing along with
Okay.
it. That's like definitely where I went right away in my brain.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
I've seen
What?
it and I've done
Yeah.
the musical.
I've also
You've done the musical?
Yeah, I was.
I
In,
love that.
I was in a children's choir when I was young. and
That's
we
so
did all
cool.
the,
it's always something weird.
Yeah.
The children's choir. You know The Sound of
That's
Music.
not that. A children's choir is weird.
Yeah.
Children who
not in a
sing
children's choir.
is weird.
Yeah, I played baseball and stuff.
Yeah, I also played baseball.
I played baseball.
I also played baseball and sang in a children's choir.
Yeah,
you
that's
can
good.
do both.
Yeah.
You
So
can't do both. I
the
like
Sound
that.
of Music, I haven't seen. And what was the other one that we were talking about the other day? I can't remember. It's right over my head right now. And don't bring up Bull Durham again. I still haven't seen it. So Bull Durham, you probably haven't
In
seen that
fairness, I
either.
haven't
Mm-mm.
watched that Mafia hockey team documentary. yet.
That I sent you like 2 years ago.
Yeah, but I told you to watch Bull Durham too, and you haven't done that.
Okay, we're a little off the rails here.
All right, we
Um,
have our guest here. We should talk to
we
her
should
now.
talk to her instead.
Do you want to
Yeah.
go on to the next thing, or do you want to continue on this one?
Well, I think in terms of like the FOMO JOMO part is
You said before, I think before we even talked about FOMO JOMO, you said sometimes you say yes to things and then you regret them afterward.
Yes.
So
I'm
do you have a hard time
terrible
saying
with
no?
No.
No.
That's the thing. Like if it's an immediate in my brain, I'm like, that would suck and I would hate it. I would
Yeah.
say no.
Right.
There was actually a thing a little while ago. I had a request for somebody to come out and they're like, you can get free products out of all of this. You just got to come and like do it. And I was like, okay. At the time I was like, this is one of those things that I feel like I'm going to hate later.
Yeah.
And so I actually did call Jasmine and I was like, I'm in a dilemma right now. And what should I do? And she's like, let me look into this. And then she's like, immediately, no, you're not doing it.
Yeah.
Stop. We have to both not do things that we don't want to do.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I was already on the fence about it. So I'm getting better with it over time. Like when I was younger, I felt like I had to like it's almost like a resume you got to build up. Like you got to, network and do the free pro bono stuff and do all that whatever.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I'm just like, it's not going to happen because I know that I will cancel on you. And I hate canceling. I'd rather just say no up front than be like that jerk that cancels like a day before where you're like on the couch, you're like, oh, I have that thing tomorrow. I don't want to go.
And then you just go in, you got it out, and you're not all there for it.
Exactly. But, there has been times where I thought I wasn't going to go, and then I just went, and then I'm like, okay, I'm kind of happy that I went. Actually, it was actually a really nice time.
Because sometimes you aren't aware of exactly what your
Exactly.
expectations don't meet what it actually
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
Yeah, but that's why I have a timeshare. I went to something I shouldn't have. But anyway.
I was actually going to say, so that actually sounded like a timeshare that you were getting offered to go to. You get free stuff if you sit through all this stuff, right? And then you're like, okay, so I'm going to be sitting here for like 5 hours. How much is this worth to me, right?
Yeah,
That's
literally.
not 5 hours.
The timeshare? How long was your timeshare? 8.5?
No, it wasn't. It was a couple hours. And that's what funded our trip to Florida a number of years ago, was timeshares. We just kept going to timeshares. And
are you yay or nay for timeshares?
I've never experienced them myself, but I mean, I've heard total mixed bag.
Yeah.
Total mixed bag.
Just keep saying no.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
No.
But you
the
said
answer,
yes.
No.
The answer is no.
The one time. And we use it now, so it's okay.
I also get to use it once.
There you
and
go.
twice.
That's right.
So before we get into a little bit more about what you actually do, we have one more topic that's a fun topic. And I kind of want to figure out if you, through your counseling, to see if you've come across this before. The 5 love languages. Have you heard of this before?
Mm-hmm, I have.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know your love language?
Wait, well, first of all, are we quizzing her first to know what the 5 love languages are? What the
Okay,
5
let's
are?
ask.
Okay, this is a good one
Yeah.
because I've heard about them, but I'm not crazy. Let me see what we got.
Here we go.
We've
These are
got.
from Marks, by the way.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Oh,
You get graded at the
the
end.
pressure. So what is that word that I'm thinking of? There's touch. There's quality time.
Yeah.
There is gestures, like something about, what is it? You can help me out now.
Is it?
Acts of service.
Acts of
service.
service.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
3. Yeah.
that was it. It was so
Three, we got
close.
3, yeah.
I got quality time.
Touch, quality time, acts of service.
Mm.
When you say things.
Oh, affirmations.
Words of affirmation.
Words of
yeah.
affirmation. Give me one of those. That was a nice hint for the last one. I like
And
that.
You're doing an
5.
excellent job.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
What's
And
like?
number 5 is
I'm forgetting. what
Give me
that
a
is.
hint.
Christmas.
Oh, right. When you hear.
Gifts.
There we
That's
go.
right.
Ooh,
Gifts.
okay, there we go.
Do we have a sound
See,
for ding,
I,
ding, ding?
I just need like a little bit of a prompt, and then
Yeah.
my brain's like,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
okay.
So, words of affirmation is just telling people what you know that they're doing which you're doing a great job, by the way.
Oh,
so
thank you so
if
much.
that's
That
your
felt
love
really
language,
good, yeah.
then that would be it. Physical touch, which is easy to figure that out. Gifts, which Tim, yours was
Acts of service.
acts of service. So when you do stuff for him, he appreciates it. That
Okay.
type of thing.
Of the 5, which are you, and do you find you give and receive the same 1 or 2?
So I definitely give. I'm a big gift giver, but I'm also maybe acts of service. That's things that I do for people in my life. Those are like those are my go-to. But I think for myself, I'm big on affirmations, but I'm also big on touch. And like I would say that touch and time and quality time are tied
Quality
for
time.
second. Yeah. So they're different from like what I do and what I
Yeah.
go to and what I want to receive, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if your significant other wanted to do something for you, them giving you words of affirmation would be number 1 in your books. Like if they came home and said, "Great job of this," or "Thank you for doing that," that type of thing.
See, I would probably rather
Get a gift.
Yeah. No, I think just the act of service, like clean out the poop from the chicken coop. Like
yeah.
if he did that, I'd be like big love eyes, you know,
Okay.
like, oh, thanks. Or like he cleaned the litter box. I'd be like, yes, I love you, dude.
Yeah. So do you know his love language?
Yeah, I think his would be definitely affirmation, and probably I would say Not even acts of service, because I think I think they're just kind of routine things. So I don't even think that would be it. I would probably say quality time or physical touch. Those are probably tied.
Tied for second.
Yeah, probably more quality time, like off your phone kind of time,
Yeah.
and like full, being present in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I would
if
say.
we actually were to call him right now,
Mhm.
that's what he would say.
Probably, but he's also on a train, and you're not
He's
allowed
on a
You're
phone.
not allowed to call
You're not
him.
allowed a phone on the
What
train,
if somebody's
man.
sleeping beside him?
Yeah, we'll never know, right?
They have cameras on those trains.
But she said she sent pictures. He
Yeah.
sent pictures of people sleeping.
After
Yeah.
they get to their bunkhouse.
Oh,
A bunkhouse
Of
is where they
course.
sleep for the night.
I could have pieced that together with bunk and house.
But now you know what a railroader is. So Tim's
do.
learning things today.
Yeah.
Well, this is really good.
Yeah.
I kind of figured that's what it was, but I didn't want to make too many assumptions
Yeah.
on that.
At all.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's get into some of the things you do for work. You said you work from home.
Mm.
What does your average day consist of?
Yeah.
Well, I also have an office in the city, but if I can work from home, I will over like going into the city. So I have an office at City Hall, and then I just work from home on the days that like I don't have any pressing meetings that I have to be in person. I feel like since the pandemic happened, a lot of things have just kind of shifted to virtual work anyways.
Okay.
For a lot of the people that I meet with, so like anybody in the government really is like
Yeah.
totally camera all. That's all it is. So I think for me, a day would be answering a ton of emails in the beginning of my day that I'm like backlogged from the day before.
Yeah.
And then just looking at what I have to do. So if we have a human rights committee council meeting coming up, then it's a ton of prep work. So it's either like soliciting and securing presentations from different organizations in the committee. So different newcomer groups or peace related or disability related or anything that would be like under the umbrella of human rights. So a lot of that. It would also be, working with city clerks and getting our agendas ready for the upcoming meeting. All of them are live streamed. And so there's tons of work that comes up, leading up to that. We also have 2 subcommittees. So accessibility and inclusion subcommittee and the equity and diversity subcommittee. So it's like
And you're in charge of all of this?
I'm in charge of all of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like just navigating things that we have on the go. So like we just passed a motion a little while ago to explore access to communication at the city, which would be, ensuring that we have ASL, like, for example, at every single meeting. And so, or if the mayor does a public service announcement, that there is ASL incorporated into it as well, because I don't know why that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
It's really strange, but
I always
wasn't.
remember it on like the TV in the
Yeah.
bottom corner as a
Yeah.
child. Like whenever they would do live broadcasts on like
Yeah.
the Weather Channel and stuff like that.
Exactly. And they should be like that for like, if there's like, especially if there's like an emergency or something. We don't even have that. Like it's just,
Yeah.
it's mind boggling that it never existed. So like stuff like that, or creating policies for newcomers and, welcome and inclusion stuff and
Yeah.
equity and diversity, different kind of things that we need to keep in line with. And so essentially my committee as a whole it acts as an advisory body to the mayor
Okay.
and city council. So anything that would need me and the committee to, provide recommendations, be it through research or, citizen consultation, anything like that. So day to day is different depending on if we have a meeting coming up, if there's
Yep.
monthly meetings, bi-monthly, but
Is this a new committee or is this something that's been around for a while?
so I was it was under Bowman's administration, so former
Okay.
mayor. He was the one who struck it. It was in response to a Maclean's article that listed Winnipeg as the most racist city in Canada.
Yes, we all remember that
Right,
article. That
yeah. And he was absolutely gutted over it. And so one of his, I guess, action items associated to it was to develop this human rights committee of council.
Okay.
And so no other city in Canada has one. So
Okay.
there are a lot of cities that are interested now. I've met with some from Toronto and Vancouver, I believe, and they're very interested in implementing something like it.
Okay.
So basically, the beauty of this committee is that it reports through EPC, Executive Policy Committee, and Right to Council. So some ad hoc committees don't have much power. Like things can just meet and then they kind of just dissolve.
Yep.
But this one just has a little bit more oomph behind it because of the reporting structure. So I think it was 2019 that it was started. I was actually an appointed citizen to the committee before.
Okay.
That's how it all started for me. Bowman had appointed me as a citizen to it. And so I served as like, I think it was 1 year.
Right.
And
How did
then-
you get to be the appointed citizen?
Well, you have to apply.
Okay.
And then he just picks the ones that are, or there's a selections committee, I'm sure. And the ones that, have maybe a framework or a lens of human rights stuff.
Public speaking.
Yeah. And just, like for me, it was mental health and gender-based violence is kind of where I put my area into it. And so sat on it for a year. The coordinator retired, put my name in, and I was successful as a candidate. So I've been around since then. So I think it's been like 5 years since it's been existing.
So you've got to kind of excuse my ignorance on it because I don't really know a lot about this.
Yeah.
About what you're doing, anything like that. If you were to be in an elevator and you're going to the 30th floor of the building right now, and you have to tell that person exactly what you do, what is that exactly?
I would say that in like a very short way of saying it is I coordinate an advisory body that provides advisory recommendations and references to the mayor and city council surrounding human rights law and best practices.
Okay. That you would have
That was good, right?
had extra seconds to still talk about
And
anything
then-
else.
Yeah, exactly.
So this question is going to be
I feel like you've practiced that though.
I have, and like I've given that answer probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my question is threefold.
Okay.
Threefold.
Why do you believe what you do is important?
Okay.
What are the challenges? And C, being that this is a number of years after that McLean's article, is it meeting its objective?
Ooh, good one. Okay, you might have to get me reminded on the second and the third, but the first point, I think for myself, coming from a family of immigrants too, and trying to and having lived experience and watching things just kind of suck for certain Winnipeggers. So I think that is the importance of, people coming here. We're a melting pot of a city and a country, realistically. And that's just never going to change, I don't think. And so how can we make it easier for people to navigate? And how can we, make people who deserve, and this is just going beyond immigrants and newcomers, people with mental illnesses or intellectual disabilities, how can we make it so that they don't have to ask for what they deserve, right? Like, how can we just make things, I hate having to have somebody say like, oh, I need this requirement, or, like they shouldn't have to ask for us to come up with ASL when there's so many other things in the world that like they're handing out those kind of things. Like, it's just important.
And ASL's been around for so long.
It has. And like,
right?
so has deaf and hard of hearing people.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a new trend or, big
And it has nothing to do
fabrication.
with ethnicity.
It really doesn't.
Really, like it could
just-
be anybody.
Anybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and there's a ton of, I work with people and sit on my subcommittees that are deaf. And so they need it. Like, they can't come to the meeting unless we have that. And they're some of our smartest and most contributing members.
Yep.
So we need those things for them. And so it's just a matter of looking at how I can make things in my position, but also the Human Rights Committee. And I think the beautiful thing about it is that it's people with lived experience. So whether it be personal or professional or a mix of both, like we have an individual who was homeless and he served on the committee for 3 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
so, he's providing that kind of grassroots on the ground.
Yeah.
This is what we need. This is what works. This is, doesn't work. He now trains the police
Yeah.
and paramedics on how to best communicate and how to, navigate when working with unsheltered people.
It's kind of like an insider.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And that's what the Human Rights Committee is. It's built up with citizens. So all of the citizens come from different areas of
Okay.
focus and passion. So some are like really involved in, newcomer stuff. Some are involved in unsheltered communication. And so it's just, that is why I think it's so important, because I don't really think that politicians have that, idea of what the lived experience portion of it is. They can just do policy analyst and, best practice from other places, but ultimately it should be folks who have lived
Right.
in
Yeah.
that area to be able to shape things. So that was first part.
The second part was, what are the challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis in your job?
I think the main one being that people sometimes think we're the Human Rights Commission. And so like they like have like human rights complaints for me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, like that's so
That
not
goes
in
to
my
human
yeah,
rights.
like that's not in my wheelhouse. And especially like understanding the different jurisdictions between federal, provincial, and municipal. Municipal is much smaller than people tend to realize. It's
Yeah.
like I can't do anything about something that happened to you, like on a provincial level, or, you know, healthcare or education. People don't really know the difference of what is under what jurisdiction.
Yeah.
I would say that, and then like getting some nasty emails every now and then, but like you're thin, your skin gets thicker over
Do
time.
you get emails about the potholes at all?
No, but I hear about them a lot.
Okay.
I do. And they suck. They really do
do.
suck. They're awful on the way
Do you have any
here.
inside information on how to
I
get
got
them
none.
fixed, or
I got none.
No?
Honestly, like I'm
No.
at a point where I think we should just do it ourselves. You know, just go
Well,
outside
Willie
and start-
Jefferson was out there the other day with Scott Gillingham
Was he?
fixing potholes.
That's hilarious. But I'm, you know, Scott is actually really good for everything that like is pretty like tangible steps instead of like we're gonna make this and that and these big
Yeah.
ideas. He's really good for like we have really bad potholes and a lot of homeless people. So like let's do things to
Tackle
fix that.
that.
Yeah. So I really like that. Other challenges would be myself having to remain neutral.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm a coordinator. I have lost my voting privileges as I used to be on the committee, and I was very vocal.
Yeah.
I'm always very vocal on these things, and so I'm a neutral party now. And that for me is
Are you like a
difficult.
moderator of the committee then, would you say?
Kind of, yeah. Like I don't have a vote, but I also can't, like, if somebody brings forward something that I'm not necessarily in alignment with,
Yeah.
I don't really get to say that because it's not, like, I can tell them this may not be good for the city or this
Right.
may be good for the city, but at the end of the day, it's not up to me to make those decisions. So I think being neutral is hard because I do have a lot of firm beliefs in things, and
Yeah.
so it
So
gets
you're
tricky.
more coordinator instead of somebody who steers people. in certain ways.
Exactly. Yeah, I can provide advice, but that advice needs to be nonpartisan and neutral again.
Okay.
And then third, I think we're doing all right in terms of
Since the McLean,
Since
that's
the
the
McLean's
third
article,
question was the McLean's
on
article.
paper anyways. we
Yeah.
are, right? Like I don't know necessarily if there's been a big societal shift or shift in discourse or maybe like beliefs, but I do think if you look at what we've done on paper of all the things that we've done, I think you can be like it checks all the boxes for things that there's been like active attempts to
Yeah.
educate and create awareness and create policies that would help people in equity, diversity, inclusion, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So on paper, totally, but I mean in terms of if we're ever going to be able to shift people's brains, I think it's going to take a lot more than
Yeah.
anything a city could do.
You're doing everything you can.
Yeah,
Whether
yeah.
that's making a change as a whole, you don't know.
We don't know.
So they used to do a CEO sleep out. Do
Mm,
you remember that? The camp out that they would do, Port Germain,
mhm.
I guess like all these people that were part of big business would sleep on the streets for a
Yeah.
couple nights. Do they do that anymore?
I don't think so.
No? Was that a city initiative back in the day?
I can't remember. I remember it when I was doing my undergraduate degree. So that's what I remember it from. So I graduated in 2018. So I think it was like 2016.
I
That's the
think
last
they
time.
stopped it like by COVID. type of
Yeah,
thing.
like I can see them not doing that because of COVID and then just never getting back to it. Like a
Yeah,
lot of stuff.
a
in the
lot of
world.
stuff that happened.
Yeah.
We just
Salads at McDonald's. Anyway,
salads at McDonald's.
Yeah, they stopped it.
They don't
'cause
exist anymore?
No, they don't. And that was because they wanted to mainstream the menu items because
Oh.
of COVID, right? And then,
Mhm. And
it
then
was
they just never
they
came
Never
back.
came back.
But Wendy's has better
Wow.
salads
Or
anyway.
yeah, they have.
They
That's
do.
true.
Yeah.
Or free refills for my coffee at McDonald's. That too.
What, really?
Yeah,
I think it's just your McDonald's. I
Nope.
think they do free refills.
they do not.
No,
Do you have
everyone.
your own McDonald's? Is that
he has a McDonald's.
okay?
Where
I have a
he
couple.
sits and he reads the newspaper.
Oh, you're
No,
one
no.
of those.
So, listen, okay, so I
listen,
No, no,
he
no,
says,
listen.
just listen.
I used
Gets
to
a little
love, I used to
defensive.
love sitting down at McDonald's, just whatever, just taking my time, having
Yeah.
my chill time, and getting my refill.
There you go. Okay.
And so what happened was we went during COVID. We went to Florida,
Mm.
and we had to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Ooh, yeah.
And so I got out of the habit of going to McDonald's and making it in my house. That plus the fact that I can't get free refills means I have completely transitioned. I don't have nearly as much time sitting at a McDonald's.
Yeah. How do
And
you feel about it?
Just changed.
Yeah.
Should I be on a couch right now?
You are.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, and how does that
I
make
like
you
this. I like
feel?
how this is going. Can we dive a little bit into Tim's psyche
Can we
a little
pull that
bit?
apart a little bit? Yeah.
Anyways, I totally sidetracked that whole conversation, but I'm not sure what I went on from that.
The CEO Sleep Out was a slow mission fundraiser, and they had relaunched it in 2019, and then it stopped during COVID. And it just hasn't happened since.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got
That makes sense,
yeah,
right?
It
Like-
does. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of those things kind of ended for.
They went back to the CEOs and said, "Should we start this again?" Yeah.
I don't
They're
know
like,
if
People
I don't know
won't
if
even
I'm
remember.
ready to do that.
Can I do
again.
it virtually? Then no. Okay.
Yeah.
Everything's kind of become virtual
Yeah.
though.
It really has.
Right? So
It
you
really
said
has.
you work from home today. Do you work
Yeah.
from home all the time or is it just
as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, as much as possible.
Did you work from home before COVID?
It's very much so a hybrid approach.
Okay.
So I think like I was totally in a lot more, and it's really hard to even remember, honestly, but I was saying this the other day to my friends. I was like, dude, I went to meetings all the time in person. Like, how exhausting was that? Like, I
Yeah.
would have like a 9 a.m. and then a 10 a.m. and
I
then
know.
and it was like driving to the next place, driving to the next place, like so many coffees because you would have one at every meeting.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did I do that? Like now everybody's just at home, like, hello, nice to see you. Thanks for meeting me. You know,
Just
like,
think about the generation before you that went to meetings and drank.
oh my gosh.
And
oh
think about
God.
how much they drank during those
I
meetings.
Who are
can't
these people?
even.
Generation before us.
Generation
Were you
before us.
Is this Russian meetings?
No. But
Yeah.
like honestly,
Yeah.
I worked in a place
Portuguese meetings.
I
Yeah,
won't
there
name
you
this
go.
place, but I worked in a place back in 2009, 2010, just for like 6 months. And there was a liquor cabinet in the bullpen.
Okay.
Like there was alcohol during the day in the office.
Wow.
I don't know if that happens anymore. It might. I don't work there anymore,
I've
but
never heard of
it
this.
was very what's that TV show called? Where they're the ad agency.
Suits.
No, that's a
Mad
lawyer.
Men?
Mad Men.
Okay.
Very much like a Mad Men type of mentality, right? Where it's
Mhm.
all old school. They're all drinking their whiskey out of their
It's the big exec
glasses.
guys, really,
Yeah.
that have that. Yeah.
Now
I
it's
have
coffee.
seen some of that, but it's usually like I worked in the hospitality industry growing up, and like to pay for university, it was all hospitality industry. And I find that like the big owners or like whatever, the managers, GMs, they would go and get to like have a glass of whatever, whiskey, wine, whatever
Yeah.
it may be, with like whoever they were working with, or like if they wanted them to land like a big event there or something, like they would always be having it.
Yeah.
But also like servers and bartenders, like we would get to have them after hours. So
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of places that like would drink on the job.
Yep.
I could never do that. Like I, even if I was allowed to do that, I
If
could
you
never
were just
do
a
that.
couple years older, you'd be able to.
Yeah, but at
Because
the
then the rules all
time,
changed.
then we all just like afterwards, especially if we had to like come up with our own menus, like specialty drink menus and stuff,
Yeah.
then we would drink them all after, right? Like
So
'cause,
you
like,
bartended then?
mhm,
Okay, where'd you
yeah.
bartend? If you
Well,
don't mind.
Yeah,
sharing
no, I bartended at the Manitoba Club. Are you familiar with that? It's on
The Manitoba
Broadway. It's a
Club.
members only club.
Is that where we went? Yeah, we went there actually
Yeah.
for a birthday party.
Yep.
And then we snuck into the
Mhm.
lower level where all the racquetball and squash.
No, that's the racket. That's the squash club.
Oh, so then we didn't go there.
Okay. Yeah.
Those
we
members
did
only.
we did sneak into the members only area though.
It's very prestige.
Okay.
Then
Then we wouldn't be allowed in there.
Yeah, I also bartended at
Jeez.
like a little bit of time. It's also you can't even wear jeans, man. Like,
Oh,
you
really?
Like, if somebody wore jeans, we would have to tell them you can't wear that here.
What if it was like Sam Cates?
Yeah, he wouldn't wear them, I don't think. But like I'm pretty sure he went there. Like I'm pretty sure everybody went there. And the thing for me was, like I said, I don't know names. Like as I mentioned, like I could meet somebody over and over and I'm just trash at remembering
Yeah.
names. But the thing about this place is you have to know their names. Like it was so faux pas to be like, and what's your name? Because they just pay their bill at the end of the year or like end of the month,
Okay.
whichever. And you just type it on their account and then it goes goes to their account. So like you have to address them by their name. But I'd be like freaking out, like, oh my God, who's that guy? And like
Yeah.
you have to get the right name. You can't charge a bunch
So
of
you ask
food.
your
I'd ask my
fellow-
friend, and like there's like little pictures of them on some of them on the
Oh.
machine, and I'm like looking at them, looking back at the guy, looking at him, like I think that's him. So it was honestly stressful for me.
So you just charge it to Sam Cates'
yeah, and I'm like, all right, there you go, Mr. Cates.
account.
So as a bartender, I have to ask this question. Did you find you had to, and I know you're getting into some therapy and consulting now, did you find you had to be a junior psychologist and therapist as a bartender?
That's a great question. I think I was like that for like all the hospitality industry, like serving too, because you get your regulars and like they would just come in to chat with you. Like I also served at Alto's buffet. That was my first serving job. And like the regulars always come for the buffet. So
Breakfast or dinner?
Sunday is after churchgoers. It's older. It's like a little bit elderly group.
Yeah, they have
and
the free ice cream at that time.
yeah, they're super sweet. And then like the Friday night was the seafood buffet. So it's like, you know,
They just brought the buffets back there.
really?
Yeah.
What were they doing without it? That's like their thing. Like,
Yeah.
they're so good.
Their breakfast buffet is really good. We go on Saturdays once a month.
It's so,
Mm.
and it used to be better.
I find
Yeah.
it to be good because the coffee is unlimited
Yeah, you have nothing to compare to.
and I have nothing to compare it
It's
to.
all been downgraded. a little
Okay.
bit,
Well, yeah, that's true.
The ice cream machine sometimes gets left on from the
Oh.
Friday night.
Wow. So you get.
So some of us will
Three
we'll-
people out of the 8 will get
we'll-
it. They'll
we'll-
just
we'll
shut
just-
us down. Why are you getting your ice cream
Well-
at 8 in the morning?
it's 10 in the morning. We'll just try it just to see if it works.
Just
And if
to see
it
if it works.
works,
Oh my God, it works. Tell
Yeah.
everyone.
yeah, we tell everyone until Matthew gets up there and then it gets turned off.
He's very loud about it.
Yeah, because he tells
Everybody get the ice cream. It's ice cream here. So do you find that I know we asked the question, I don't think you've gotten to it.
we just
Do
interrupt.
you find that you became that kind of,
Yeah, but I also find like that they wanted to be so for me as well. Like
Okay.
sometimes you're just like cleaning up the bar and like, you know, doing your due diligence and they'd be like, so how's school? Or like, you know, and so
Yeah.
tell me about that. Like, what is it bothering you? And so like, I think it was very mutual. So
I wonder if she served
it
us
was, like,
one time.
it would be back
we
and
do that.
forth. Do you guys do that?
We do that, yeah. Well, we're older.
Yeah, like I was gonna
Right?
say it's kind of, you know, you get to a certain age and then they care more about
Yeah.
talking about themselves. Like it just kind of
Well, we go for wings, and then like one of the guys that we hang out with, Matthew, will literally just talk to the waitress the whole time
Yeah.
and find out her life story, why she's doing this, where she's going from here, like her motivations. Like she'll just literally need to like pry herself away.
Yeah, like that,
Right?
I've had
so
that.
guys
yeah.
do that to you.
Yeah, totally. It's a dad thing. I've noticed it's very much so a dad thing, and they're like, "Oh, well, my daughter went to something like that a long time ago as well." Like you're just relating it to different
Yeah.
There
things.
we go, now we know. It's a
But
dad
they
thing.
also
It's a dad thing. That's
they
why.
also really want to help. Like they just want to be like, "Well, don't worry about that assignment. You're gonna do great." You know?
Forget it.
Yeah.
Why
Just be like a
study?
pseudo.
Why try? You're
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, pretty much.
They just don't want to lose you as their waitress because they're like, this person takes good care of us. We don't have to worry about
Yeah.
stuff. Our food is hot, you
Mhm.
know, like all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
drinks are
When you
refilled.
get a good waitress, you go back to those places, and
You
you probably
do.
had your regulars all the time.
All the time.
And you go back to those places because you know the service is going to be what you want.
Oh, totally. I would like sometimes I don't go back to a restaurant if it was like crappy service. Like
Yeah.
it gives you a bad taste in your mouth, right? If you go to a place and you're like, food was great, service sucked.
Yeah.
So then you just like kind of avoid it.
So from a female point of view, then, because you're not a dad,
Mhm.
you're younger. You do you pick restaurants based on your servers?
Sometimes it depends on my social battery. Like if I
Yeah.
have one that's like kind of all up in your face, then I'm like, man,
some
she,
are,
you
yeah.
know, like some they just check on you like every time you put a bite of food in your, you know, in your mouth, and you're like, oh yeah, everything's good. I just told you, like one of those. I'm like, they're pushy, dude.
Yeah.
But then like some of the other ones, I'm like, I really like it. They kind of just like give you your stuff and then like screw off, and like I'm kind of okay with that too.
Yeah,
So-
as long as your drink's full.
Yeah, as
and-
long as we're taken care of and like my food's there at a good time.
Yeah,
You always get
Whatever.
that line. How do your first few bites taste?
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm always like, I haven't actually had a bite yet.
Yeah. You're like, wow, oh my
I'm-
God, 5 minutes have passed and I still haven't had a bite. I'm sorry.
I'm just waiting till everybody gets their food.
Yeah, literally.
yeah,
So we go once a month for guys' breakfast at Alto's.
Okay.
yeah.
I like that. I've never heard of
one
guys
Saturday.
breakfast before.
Yeah, well, you're not a.
Yeah.
So that would make sense.
But as girls, you guys do like girl spa dates or girls.
Do you do girl spotting?
No.
No.
No,
No?
I've never done that. I just took my partner to Elkhorn Resort.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's
they
where my
have,
timeshare is.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay, that would be a
It's all
crazy
coming full
cool.
circle.
That would be a very cool one. I would be cool with that one because they have the Nordic spa now.
Yeah.
Hey, how
Like,
was it?
It was incredible.
Compared to the Thermea. I need to know.
Night and day. Because Thermea is like so packed.
Really?
We also went on a Wednesday, mind you, but still Wednesday at Thermea is going to be packed. Like it's
Whereas Elkhorn's not going to
it's
be packed at all.
no, it's not. There's just like a couple people.
How was it for service there?
Well, they have that bar that's on like the spa side. That one was a little much with like the in your face kind of thing.
Okay.
But it was incredible. Like we had a charcuterie
They had a lot of
board.
staff?
Yeah, oh yeah. We had a charcuterie board, and it's like that's all we wanted for during the day. Had a couple drinks, went in the spa, and we
Yeah.
went to like the Buffalo Bar for the evening, and like had a nice dinner there. But I thought it was like amazing. Like it was so perfect. That's where we went for his birthday, and it was like so good that I would have stayed 2 nights rather than 1 night.
Yeah. So you
It's a
stayed
pretty
right in
far
the
drive.
hotel area then?
Yeah, we did a hotel
Instead of-
stay, like not the chalets, but my friends and I were talking about it. We might do that this summer.
Because
Summer's busy.
Yeah.
Is it really?
It will be way
crazy?
busier in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I get my week, and then him and
So me and the guy that talks to all the waitresses,
Yeah.
we go for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because they can only go Thursday through Sunday, right?
Okay.
So we go the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we'll go and we'll book massages and we'll
At the spa?
at
Like
the
the
spa.
Nordic
Well,
one?
the old spa
Okay, I didn't
because
know there
it's
was
still
one.
there. And we actually both work from home.
Mhm.
So we bring our computers out there and we
Amazing.
connect and we just do our work. And there's a long table in the chalet, right? So he's
Yeah.
at one end, I'm at the other. We're both working. When we take phone calls, we go into the other room, take phone calls
That's perfect.
and all that kind of stuff. And then what we'll do is we'll go out for dinner and we'll do all the things that are great about his timeshare. And and the pool actually has an outdoor hot tub in the regular pool.
Yeah. Like
And-
I really like the Nordic spa vibe there because they have they have 2 hot areas. So they have like the steam area, and then they also have the hot sauna, and they
Okay.
have like exfoliation areas, and they do that Thermea too. But it's like is it Thermea or Thermea? By the way, I don't know.
Thermea.
Thermea?
I'm pretty sure.
Thermea or Thermea.
Thermea. I guess it
But
depends. If you want to be high end, it's
that's
Thermea.
It depends on who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Like I'll whip out the Thermea if it's like colleagues at work with my girlfriends. Like, yeah, I went to Thermea today. Like a little bit less classy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a killer spot. It'll be way better with your timeshare now.
The only one that's the only thing I don't like about I prefer at Thermea is they have the off-gas. I love the off-gas.
Okay, the ceremony.
Yeah, where they do all the
Yeah.
towels and
Yeah.
it gets really, really hot.
hmm
I do that every hour, and they don't have one of those at.
Okay, that's
at Elkhorn.
true.
I love that.
hmm
I've told the story a couple times, but one time, we do every time we go there, we go there 6 times, like every hour. And one time, and I told you this story before,
Yeah.
but Patrick Laine,
Okay.
and who was our running back for the Bombers?
Harris.
Andrew Harris were in the same
Okay.
off-gas as me, and Patrick Laine.
And they're naked, right?
No, they're not naked.
Oh.
Have you been to the off-gas?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
It's incredibly hot.
So you know
Yes.
they're not naked.
No, they're not naked.
They're not naked.
That would be
And you-
wild.
and you need a towel.
I thought this was the men's
Well,
breakfast version.
It's fine, wild. But, and Patrick Laine, and I think it's Finnish or it's Thermea is a
It's a
It's
Scandinavian.
like-
Scandinavian, right? So he's from
yeah.
his country,
Yeah.
and he should know the rules. He wouldn't shut up the entire time.
No.
You're not supposed to talk, and Patrick Laine would not shut up.
Wow. So that's an actually interesting point because Thermea has like a shush policy,
yeah.
whereas the one at Elkhorn has a no shush policy.
Right.
So you can talk there.
You can talk there, and there's also music playing outside, which is like kind of
This
okay.
sounds fun, actually.
Which they can do if there's less people.
Yeah, they
Right.
can do. Like there was a really chatty guy in the
Dad?
cold plunge.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
I don't know, but he was like, so, and I'm like, just in the cold plunge, like trying to get my breathing regulated and like get into the zone. He's
Yeah.
like, so if you could pick any drink in the world world right now. I'm like, dude.
It wasn't Tim?
Yeah, he's like, what would
That sounds
he
like a question that you would
I
ask.
was like vodka,
Yeah. And what was
like
the answer? What
coffee.
was the
I
answer?
said none in here,
Yeah.
but like in the hot tub,
Yeah.
maybe I would do like a beer or cocktail. But like in the cold plunge, I'm not chilling in there for long. Like I'm not going to be in there to have a drink.
Yeah.
It's just like a have my moment and then I get out.
While that guy's talking to you.
He talked to me so much. And
Was he just hanging out in there? Like,
my
was
partner
that?
said like, man, I see that guy everywhere around here. And then he went into the change room and he's like, oh, hey, man. And we're like, he's there too.
But there's only 5 people in the whole spa.
Mhm.
So.
There was I would say like a dozen.
Okay.
A dozen. And like that was like okay for me. Like I feel like it's bigger too.
Yeah.
Like a more real estate in terms of just
So was this
walking
recently,
around.
like in the last couple
Like
of
this
weeks?
week.
Or...
Like
Oh,
I went on
okay.
Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Only
Like,
a dozen
super good.
people. That sounds
And the other thing
fantastic.
is
Lorraine, do you
they have
want to
good
do that?
specials. Yeah.
They do have
Yeah.
good specials.
Yeah, during the week, if you ever go, they have good specials for the weekend.
On Wednesdays, they have wings. Wing special on Wednesday.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
Do they?
Yes.
Still?
Yes.
All the wing specials are gone, or they're like $1.
Well, no, they're just
Oh,
more
I
expensive.
know they're so crazy.
Have you? Like, we've checked into all of them now, and it's like 3 times the cost. It's
Yeah, you just need to
crazy.
do them at home now. Like
Yeah,
we
I
do
was
them
thinking
at
the same
home.
thing.
We
I'm
do
gonna
them at
start
home.
doing my air fryer.
Yeah, we
and they
do like a
charge
big
people.
Costco pack. 'cause
That's
they
not the
do-
same. You can't talk
not
about
as-
what the waitress is doing.
Yeah, that's true. You can't ask the waitress how their life
Yeah.
is, right? And that's kind of the shtick.
Yeah.
But we do them at home. We even cut up like celery and carrots that
Oh,
no one
wow.
eats.
You go all out.
Yeah, like just you have baskets and everything.
There you go.
Yeah, I ordered them off Amazon.
How much is it per wing at your place?
I thought you were going to say you stole them from Smitty's.
Yeah, no, I ordered them off Amazon. But we get like these like big packs from Costco. It's like $27.
Yeah.
And it's like huge.
Yeah.
And we do like 3 different flavors and
You
drink
have to
beer.
start doing that now.
We'll just do wing nights in my house.
Yes.
Okay.
You should.
Yeah. Let's
It's a
do
good
it.
time.
Yeah.
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 Great
Maybe you can
ideas.
hire somebody to come for an hour and they can pretend
Yeah.
They can pretend.
that they are a server. So you can ask them how they're doing.
Would you be my server?
Yeah,
Oh, jeez.
exactly, right?
Would it just be going from? Okay, never mind.
Gifts, Tim. Acts, gifts
Acts
and
of
acts of
service.
Here's a
service.
wing. Here's some money. Goods and services.
So I want to talk about your counseling
Mhm.
because is this something new? Or
Yes.
this is something new. Okay.
Mhm.
So I've seen kind of your posts and stuff like that about your counseling. And is this, do you host this out of home as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what made you want to get into counseling?
Well, I think initially, like I have lived with mental illness and mental health problems all my life. It was way more predominant when I was young, like 14 to like 19-ish was like
Okay.
rough go. But now it's a lot different. But I remember how hard it was to try and navigate finding a resource that was like one, you don't have to wait for like 5 months to get into, because typically when people are seeking help, it should be like because they're at that point where they
Yeah.
need help. And then also super expensive. And a lot of the times I would like meet with like these old men therapists, and like they would always like, I picture this one dude, he had like a British accent and he was in my mom's EAP system at work. So it was like somebody that she could access for cheap, I guess.
Yeah.
But like I just never connected with any of these people, and like I was young, and so I'm like, we need more young counselors that like make kids feel okay and make
Yeah.
well just like younger adults feel okay with going there and not like scared to talk about something because they'd be judged by this person. And so I don't know, I think it's just a mixture of all those things, having that sympathetic life experience, and then also all those factors of it's so expensive, you can never get anywhere,
Yeah.
and wanting to have that relation with them, like being able to relate on like a regular level, like I would, like that peer connection, you know? So I
Yeah.
think that's kind of where it started.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say that's pretty important, especially considering coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
The youth, I think that some of the numbers that are coming out are staggering.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's talking to someone of your age group
Yeah.
instead of someone who's, 50, 60 years
Yeah,
old.
exactly.
Really has that kind of connection.
So are you
more so.
trying to gain a lot of people from your age, or are you open to like 80 to 15? Like what are you looking at
So
in terms of counseling?
I'm open to whatever. Like I do it out of my home. I offer virtual and in person.
Okay.
So I do like to gauge the person first, like I don't want to just bring somebody to my home. I just like
Make sure that you're a fit.
yeah, and make sure that we're a fit. So I'll do a virtual check-in because I don't want to bring a stranger over either. So I like to, have that kind of first connection to vet individuals because
Yeah.
you make a business online and anybody can show up to your house.
Yeah.
But I make it open for anybody, but I've noticed that the biggest need and like my highest reach out is young girls. So like 16 to 18-year
Okay.
old girls is like the prime age. And it's either them reaching out or like a lot of it's their moms like reaching out on their behalf and then
Yeah.
liaising it through there. But it's just like hard knock time for those kids,
Yeah.
So that would primarily be who I see right now.
The cell phone culture, the screen
TikTok.
culture, like TikTok,
TikTok is a big one. Yeah. I have
the
two sisters.
addictiveness of
Yeah.
everything, right?
I have two younger sisters and like I worry about it, but they're really like they are so much more advanced than I give them credit for because I'm just like worried about everything for them when I see things, but they are like totally on their game. But I think a lot of that the way that social media has kind of become right now and
Yeah.
is for young girls, there's so much pressure and like everything is a highlight reel, right? Like
Yeah.
everything, like people are comparing themselves to things that don't actually exist.
Yeah.
Everything you post online is a highlight reel. It's not someone's reality.
Yeah.
And like a lot of glamorization of mental illness, even I found like people are like, I have this and I have that and talking about it. I'm like, everybody's so hard done by right now on certain things. And so it's a really negative space to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with mental illness then, do you find that people that are coming to you have, anxiety and stress and all this stuff because of like we're on our phones, we're on our screens, we're on TV, like we're watching all this stuff all the time. But do you also think that they're coming to you with it because their friend also has
Yeah.
the same thing?
I've seen a lot of that. And I see a lot of it happen, like more so right now, it's the parents that are like, my kid needs to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And that's mostly what it is, like parents being spokesperson for their kid because maybe their kid is not acknowledging that something is going on because of their friend group or because of, social trends that are happening right now. So like maybe like a form of behavior or something that they're doing or a personality trait that they've kind of absorbed. They don't realize that it's because of their friend group and your social circle, but their parents surely have. And so their parents have reached out as an advocate on behalf
Okay.
of them, like in an alarming sense of way. And I think it's really nice though, because a lot of, so far anyways, I've had parents who are very like, you like this is their thing, like I'm not, like don't tell me everything that like has
And
been
you
said.
can't, right?
You can't, yeah, like unless it's like something alarming, like they're
Yeah.
at harm or someone else is at harm, anything like that, you have to
Yeah.
duty to report. But for the most part, it's like totally respecting everybody's time, and I like that a lot. I haven't had a situation where a parent has come to me and been like, so like what's going on in their life, like,
Yeah.
so I think that that's really nice too for the kids to be able to trust me
Yeah.
and be able to speak their full truth and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Do you find that you act as a sounding board more than anything else when getting the kids to open up about what they're feeling and just kind of giving it back to them what you hear? Or do you give people strategies? You said the 16 to 18-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And I have three daughters, 18, 19, 20. So we
Okay.
just kind of going through that,
Mm.
just past that.
Yeah.
Do you find that's what you act more as, that sounding board?
It depends on the situation. And like there's a bunch of different techniques or theories that you can use. And so like person-centered theory is basically the notion of believing that every individual has the resources within them to navigate it so that you don't give them, this is what you're going to do, this is the next step. It's helping them kind of discover that they have the strength and the resources within them and how to best utilize them. And I find that happens a lot in this age group, but also looking at solution focused therapy is my favorite because like it looks at, here's a problem, how can we fix it, but without telling them this is what you need to do to fix it. It's
Yeah, because they won't
let's-
listen.
They won't. We got to work together to
We
figure out
teenagers.
ways that work and make it happen, right?
Yeah.
So that one and strength-based, which is like words of affirmation. You're good at this. You're like amazing at this. You got all these things going on. Like, don't think this or that or XYZ, because we're looking at words of affirmation, which is strength-based, acknowledging their strengths that they have and building off of that.
So I picture a counseling session, therapist session, all these kinds of things where you sit on your chair like that,
Mhm.
and I lay on a couch like this, and you ask a question, and I talk through my problems, and you make notes for a little bit, and then you say, "Ding, time's up."
Mhm.
That's my perception of what therapy. I've never been to a therapy
Okay.
session. I only see what I see on TV,
Yeah.
that type of thing, right? When I see them talking, I see him sitting on a chair, and I see somebody laying on a couch.
Okay, yeah.
Is your sessions more of you asking a question and them talking, or do you guys talk through things?
It depends on the person. I find that the older the individual, it's more of a communication. Like, it's more back and forth, the older the individual, because they're like, I know what you're doing. You
Yeah.
know, like, I'm not gonna come here to talk. I know, like a lot of them
Yeah.
too. Like, they're like, people come in there expecting you to solve their problems, and that's just what and the idea of counseling is, and that's not necessarily what we do. We just provide you with, tools and guidance and resources to be able to
Yeah.
help you do it yourself and empower you to do it yourself and support you through the way. And so for me, it's very like laid back. They come into the house. I ask them if they want a water, tea, Diet Pepsi, the kind of
You get all the
this
things.
is all of it.
Glass
Yeah.
of whiskey?
Yeah, no, not
No?
for especially the minors. It's a bad touch,
Yeah, minors who are dealing with depression and anxiety.
Yeah, you
That's
guys
a
want
great
some-
Well, it's
idea.
not all minor. She said some of the older people want to communicate. So I figured I would
Frank's
check.
full of great ideas. Maybe he should go to therapy.
Yeah,
How's
you
your
never know.
Thursday?
This is my
Yeah.
therapy. We've talked about this on the podcast. This is my therapy.
Yeah.
Me talking with Tim weekly or talking with a guest weekly, because sometimes we don't have guests, so sometimes we just talk to each other, and
Yeah.
it's my
absolutely.
therapy. Like, it's my way of talking about what's on my mind, what things that I want to get
That's
better at.
huge. It
right?
really is. A lot of the times people just come to talk. Like, not everybody's got a problem. And
Yeah.
when they see a counselor, they just need an outlet to talk to. And so, like, sometimes their parents are not that vibe for them. And, like, a lot of the times people don't come with, like, a slew of issues or things they need to talk about. It's like they just want to talk about their week and, like, debrief. And it's just, like, a really good place to do that. So,
Sometimes it's simplistic. Sometimes people are just lonely.
yeah, exactly. And that's totally it. And, like, if that's what you need, then it's what you need, right?
Yeah, fantastic. I'm going to move on to something else in a second.
But Okay.
However,
okay.
I'd like just to stop because I want you to tell us about your tattoos.
Okay.
Because they look really cool.
Oh, thank you. Well, I have a ton, like literally a ton. So the sleeve goes all the way up to here, and then this one has a little break. I actually just got a little guy the other day, a chickadee, but it needs to be filled in. But I do have almost 2 sleeves. My first ever tattoo is in like some gross house that I got when I was 16. That one's on my back. It's non-legible at this point. It just looks
So a
like mush.
16-year-old getting a tattoo,
Yeah.
probably not the best.
No, and
You
it was
wouldn't
like
suggest that anymore?
inspirational. Like, it was like and the funny thing is my mom has it too.
Okay.
And like for my mom, this makes sense. Like, it's turn your wounds into wisdom. Like, she's lived, like,
Okay.
but at 16, what wounds?
What wounds did
will
you
I
have?
be transforming into wisdom at that age? So I got that, but it was after I got sick, like mentally unwell, that I started getting more tattoos. They all have some sort of significant meaning to me. Like, I have a Ganesh up here, which is a type of god. I have tons of different spirituality tattoos. So
Okay.
looking at all different faith-based stuff, and like, I'm a Christian myself, but I have, Buddha here, or I have some Hinduism here, and then I have just tons of different kind of aspects. And I
Are you
think,
just trying to check off all the boxes
yeah,
just in case?
pretty much, just in case. And like crap, I'm missing one. I better chisel that guy in here. But I think for me, it was just looking at a higher power, and
Yeah.
so in a place that I really needed.
Gives you a reminder when you look at it.
And I needed to know that there was a higher power at a certain point. And so kind of all just stemmed from there. I got like my mom, like the traditional heart
mom,
tattoo, but
yep.
not. It's like mom, and it's an actual heart because
That's
she's
cool.
a paramedic,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
then
okay.
worked in cardiology. So, like, just a bunch of different things. This is supposed to be my mom too, because she's wise.
You got an owl. I also have an owl.
Do you?
Yep.
Does it
I have
look
a
like
giant
this?
owl though. It's on my whole shoulder.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Owls are dope. They are.
Yeah.
They're
I
really
love
cool.
owls.
Yeah, so I have a bunch of different stuff.
They're
I got a
hoot.
dragon here.
They're a hoot.
Okay, that was
Continue.
really good. I have a dragon. I
A
have just
dragon.
I have lots of quotes that I've gotten over time that like seemingly mean less.
Do you go
over
to the same
time.
artist every time?
No.
No?
I will
The
now.
same dingy basement.
Yeah, I will
Well,
now.
obviously not that artist.
God, no, I didn't even know that dude's name. Like, it was just like, what? It's bad.
The
But,
old yellow pages. Let's see.
Yeah, exactly. Craigslist. But no, I go to somebody now who I'll stay with her for like ever. Her name's Crystal, and she's incredible. And I'll stay with her for the rest of my tattooing days.
Do you draw any of your own?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you're not like an artist that draws her tattoos and then gets somebody else to put it
Mine
on?
would be so bad if I did
Yeah.
like a little stick figure. Oh, it would be
Do
so
this,
gross.
but way better.
Yeah, do this, but like good.
You know what's funny? We were in Florida and Tim got a tattoo, his first tattoo in Florida.
Okay.
Tim, you want to show your giant tattoo?
It's fair. It's not very.
I've noticed it.
Yeah.
I did notice it. It's not huge, but
Yeah.
good for you.
But so we went, and one of the guys has a lot of tattoos, and he wanted everybody to get tattoos. So 3 people, I think, in total got
We
tattoos
were just
out of the 8
yeah,
people.
we were out for supper at the Hooters in Clearwater.
Yeah,
the
Okay,
original
yeah.
reputable establishment
And he's like,
in Clearwater.
you guys, let's go get tattoos. Like, we're never gonna find a place to get tattoos, Steve. And he's like, he calls him. Oh, we're going for tattoos. So we went for
Because this
tattoos.
place just takes walk-ins, and it was open
Okay.
until
So we
4 in
just
the
decided
morning.
We just went.
See, that's rare. Oh, 4 in the morning.
4 in the morning, and it
Wow.
was right next to a bar that we
Mm.
really didn't fit into. But
It was a good time.
Yeah, it
But
would
the-
sounds like it.
but the tattoo place, what I was gonna say is like they have like clip art on the wall.
Oh yeah.
So like they have like this like thing of art, and it's like it's $25 per piece. So there's
Oh.
people coming in from the bar and literally going, I want that one, that one, that one, and that one. And they'd come in, and then the guy would put it on
Wow.
wherever they wanted on their body.
Yeah.
And it was just like literally like stick figures and like
Oh
peace
yeah.
signs and
Like
stuff
just
like that.
little dinky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and I think that's becoming something that's popular right now. I don't know. I've seen a lot
It
of TikToks
is.
about it and
Yeah.
stuff, where it's not really art anymore. It's just like
It's like
line drawings.
yeah, line drawings and like a lot of them. To
Yeah.
like make up I forget what it's like patchwork. That's like
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, see, for me, I couldn't stand that. Like I had to fill in because I didn't like that. It
You
was,
wanted
like,
a whole
all
piece.
this disconnection, you know?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that your tattoos have obviously most people get tattoos
Mhm.
because they have some level of significance to them. So when we went to Florida, our buddy Steve got the largest tattoo, and then I got a tiny tattoo. My brother-in-law actually got a tattoo on the inside of his bicep that said "blessed." And
Okay.
had a fishing hook, and it was for my father-in-law passed away a year and a
Hmm.
half ago, and they were very close, and that was his way of honoring him
Love that.
after
Super nice.
he had passed. And we actually 2 days later went for ice cream at a place, and he was telling this story to a group of ladies who had come down from another state and were getting tattoos because their family member had just passed. And they were
Oh.
all getting tattoos
Wow.
to honor her. It was crazy that he was telling the story.
And that's why they were there.
And that's why they're there walking into this tattoo.
Yeah.
That is
walking into this
interesting.
ice
I
cream
like
place.
that though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was crazy. But
Yeah.
thanks for sharing about that.
Yeah,
I was just
absolutely.
watching the whole time asking questions like what we had to ask about
Yeah,
that.
no, for sure.
Transitioning
Well, I wanted to kind of relate your counseling
Mhm.
to the podcast that's coming up.
Yep.
You guys have released a whole bunch of like workbooks and digital media.
Yeah.
I think that's what
I
what
think that's
it's
what if
basically
Jasmine
called.
called it that, then I would go with
that's
that.
what it is.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
calling it. So
Okay.
digital media and stuff that you're putting out there right now. The podcast hasn't come out yet.
Mhm.
Is the podcast something that is born out of the counseling, or is it 2 separate things that like was the podcast always going to be something that it has morphed into, or was it started
Yeah, so
as an idea of something else?
The podcast was the initial, right? Like that was like number 1 what we were wanting to do.
Yep.
I think we both always just wanted to do a podcast, and then we became friends and we're like, we both do public speaking, and we both think we're really funny
Yeah.
and like relatable and stuff. And so we're like, this would be the perfect space. We have the outreach, we have like, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine if we combined forces, and we did. And then we're like, dude, we have so much to offer. Like, we have so many ways to offer, and it doesn't want to be like, I don't want it just to be this one facet.
Yeah.
So we came up with, you know, the online. So we have coaching, we have the workbooks. You can do presentations. There's so many different things that we have, online courses.
Yeah.
Because we just want to be able to have so many different offerings, and like the podcast ultimately is now this smaller thing, even though we like our name, it has podcast in it.
Yep.
But it's become much more than just a podcast. It's more so like this movement of, you know, whether it be moving forward in your life professionally or personally, or from a
Yep.
mental health aspect. It's like, how can we help more people more than just like talking? Right.
Yeah.
Some people might not dig on listening to podcasts or listening to us talk, but they might like what we're about. And so we wanted to have that available too.
Yeah. So the podcast right now is planned to come out.
It should be like in the next week or so.
Okay.
Jasmine is the guru when it comes to like the computer
YouTube
stuff,
stuff?
any of it. Honestly, I'm not at all. Like, I'm really not. And she's good at that stuff. So I just help with like content and basically anything she tells me. Then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll give you a deadline. Like, I'm like, just tell me what to do when you need it by, and like, I'll do it. Cause that's how
Yeah.
I work. It's like, give me something to do, I'll do it. But she's really good at all the other stuff. So we have a ton of content. And so she just needs to, cause I can, she just needs to edit it. And then, then we're good to go. I might go there this weekend. She has the studio in her house.
Yeah.
So I might go there this weekend and get some done, but I leave for Vancouver on Monday because I'm going to a conference out there. So she's going to be without me for a little bit.
Okay.
So she does all the editing and she tells you what to do. So she's like the Greg.
Yeah, I guess so. She really is. Yeah. And I'm just like, I feel like I contribute in meaningful ways, just not like, you know.
Well, it can't be the Get It Together podcast with Jasmine and Aly without Aly.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like the Greg and Tim show can't be the Greg and Tim show without Tim.
You need it.
This is all you have to do. Just put this over here and click this and do this and what?
Yeah, and then
He
we're
did
just there.
stay. He stayed one night after an interview and watched just the start of
I just
my.
throw the ball up in the air, the baseball, and catch it. And
Mhm,
then
yeah.
he just does everything else. It was
Yeah.
very productive.
He provides very.
That's literally what I'm like. Like, I'm just like, you're doing a great job, man. Like, good on you. Like, this looks awesome.
Yeah, and her videos so far have been doing really well in terms
Yeah.
of her over opinionated videos and then other stuff that
Yep.
she's doing right now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the Get It Together podcast. So that's why I ask when is it coming
we have
out,
some good
because
stuff for sure.
we're looking forward to checking it out. What do you guys want to accomplish with the podcast? What's the goal?
Well, I would be lying if I didn't say that we would like to eventually make some money, you know, through sponsorship and stuff, just because we put in so much work and time and effort that these days, you really can't do all that unless like, if like, you know, take time off work or do this or whatever. We put some money out there and you risk things. So I think that that's ultimately going to be a stream. I know that Jasmine eventually wants to do this a lot more. I do too, down the road. But I think ultimately it's a matter of having those real discussions that are so uncensored. We both work in a place where you have to be very careful about things you say.
Yep.
Different places, but still the same in the sense that we can't be, we're both neutral, really. Like, we can provide a little bit of commentary, but at the end of the day, it's a matter of being neutral and for
Yeah.
other people. So I think this one's going to be more so raw and organic and like how we actually think about certain things, and you know, tools to help other people, give them some laughs ultimately,
Yep.
relatable content, and help
Maybe
them.
you guys going to have a whole episode about soccer.
Yeah, we probably will,
A
but I'll
12-minute
shut it
episode.
down.
A 12-minute episode
About
about
drinking and soccer.
Literally, we've had a few episodes that we've done, and we were like drinking White Claws, and like I'm like, we have to be careful about those ones because I find like as they get on, like it's just like us making these terrible jokes that are like
Yeah,
not
when are
even
we doing our
funny.
White Claw episode?
Well, that's why we put your vodka in the cup, Tim. so that people don't
That's
know.
why I've been feeling funny for
That's
25
why I'm
minutes.
feeling funky.
The room is spinning.
I have to grab Tim's phone really quick because we want to show you a video
'Kay.
of something that I found earlier today. So just one sec.
'Kay.
So I found this video and I think it's very interesting, and I wanted to kind of get your perspective on it because you deal with mental health, you deal with anxiety, you deal with counseling.
Yep.
So it's the top left video there, Tim. If you can just turn it to Aly and get her to check it out.
There was a study that I found pretty exciting. They said the part of your brain that you get anxiety from is the same part of your brain that has gratitude. You can't be grateful and anxious at the same time. So then in the Bible where it goes, instead of being anxious, be grateful.
It's so,
this
when
is
you
so
told me that,
crazy to think that they were calling out legitimate things that scientists have found out about.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Did you show Jasmine that video
I
or those
haven't.
people? Because she just sent me a clip from them or from that guy like a
Okay.
couple days ago, and it was talking about like how we spend time worrying and essentially how that can go into like worshiping the devil rather than worshiping God, and so worrying is like a product of that. So it's
Yeah.
the same dude,
Yeah.
which is really interesting. I've never
His
seen.
name is George Janko.
Yeah, I've never seen him before that.
He
So
used to be like the third person on the Impulsive podcast with
okay, yeah.
one of the Paul brothers. I think it's Logan Paul.
Mm.
And then he actually, because he was outspoken about his faith, the host, I think it's Logan Paul, would make fun of him
Mm.
to the point where he actually quit the show and he actually started his own show,
Well, good for him.
which is this one. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up though is because like I think that a lot of this comes to the thought of, I'm anxious. But people forget to go, I'm thankful.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts on something like that where
I think that's so true. I was just talking to my girlfriend today where she was like having a panic attack and texting me about it. And I was like, well, what are you doing right now? Like while you're texting me, like, where are you? Like, let's talk about that for a second. She's like, well, I'm in bed. I'm like, oh, you don't have like a busy day today? Like, no. I'm like, well, that's awesome. Like, it's like it's like kind of just stopping right then and there. And I also think too, like with anxiety, it's like a snowball. It's like a snowball effect, right? Like if you feed it and it'll just get bigger and eventually it's like growing and growing and growing. And I've been there. I have generalized anxiety disorder. So it's totally under wraps now. But when I was young, it was like out of control. So I get that it's difficult for people to, especially if you have a diagnosis or whatever. I think it's difficult for people to have that stall, that buffer before it goes into the snowball effect, because if that's ultimately what it is, like, and I was just telling my girlfriend about it and saying, stop it right in its tracks, and, pay homage to the fact that you're doing that, because that's an act of self-care to be able to go, okay, stop it right there. Don't let it grow. Don't let it change into anything more, and go like, it's hard to do, but I'm also really proud of myself for just doing what I just did. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a big thing. And I think for me too, and just as humans, we become overwhelmed and we get in the motion of Monday to Friday and all of our responsibilities, and you feel it. But I think for me, when I start to feel that, I make a very big conscious effort to stop and look at all of the most amazing things. Like I'll find 5 things that I'm grateful for when I'm feeling really overwhelmed or worried about something that is coming up, or like a deadline, or like I have a huge workload. I just stop. I'll go outside and like take a deep breath of the fresh air, and like that was an amazing, even just breath of fresh air, like just to be outside and be grateful for that. So like I find 5 things, like in like my partner, the food in my fridge, this a job that I have, like I find that gratitude, and I find that that in itself slowly will chip away at the anxiety that I have.
I heard a stat that said something like of the things that go through your brain on average every day, 74% or something like that were negative. And of those 74% things that you think, 90% is cyclical, or 95%. It means they're not a new thought. It's just something that goes on and you repeat worrying about the same thing. So I guess what you're saying is learning the strategies to overcome some of those things, just to reset your brain. Do you find that anxiety is something that is more intrinsically female?
Mm,
I'm
no,
not generalizing anything,
no,
because of course there are some men
yeah,
in category and some women that aren't, but
mm,
to a point, do
yes.
women typically deal with more anxiety, in your opinion?
Yes, I would say so. Although I find that changing in the last few years. And maybe that's just a product of, I don't know, a million things. It could be also like inflation. There's like so
Yeah.
many things going on where people have to worry about more things. But I think just, it goes without saying that women maybe think about things on a different level than men do, right? Like really get into it, pull things apart. And I know that there are men that do behave and think that way,
Yeah.
but I would say more overwhelmingly it would be women, right? And so like in the last, I don't know, few years, I've met a few of my friends or colleagues that are men that have really been talking about anxiety and that they've been struggling with it. And I think it's a really heavy thing that we got going on in our world right now with, all the stuff you have to keep up with. And like I said, the economy and inflation and
Yeah.
providing and all the things that come with being a man and expectations that you're supposed to meet too. I think that they are building even more so than they ever have before. Like I think before it was always just kind of status quo, but men need to now be strong and soft and all these
Yeah.
things. So
Do you believe in, and I know you said be a man, and when we say terms like a man,
mhm.
sometimes people identify that this is what men do, this is what women do. And now we've kind of gone away from that in society, where we're saying there's no intrinsic roles.
Mm.
Do you still believe there are quote unquote roles that men typically should be in? Let's like provider, leader of the home. And,
Mhm.
and are you more old school in that thinking, or are you more so in the new school that there are no actual defined roles for sexes?
When I was doing my undergraduate degree, I was definitely more so like down with the patriarchy and like, very
Kill
much
men.
exactly because I was just surrounded in that. And like I said, social influences are huge on brains that are going
School
through. Oh
influences.
gosh, like I was so like I was like a hardcore feminist. But now I'm quite literally the opposite. I'm back to my roots, like my Portuguese family, traditional roles
Yeah.
and, Christian faith. And so it's, I think that there's things that like men can do. It doesn't have to be as rigid as we think. Like, like
Yeah.
he can do the dishes and make dinner every now and then. Those things can overlap. But at the end of the day, I do go back to the traditional household. And that's just, I don't know if that's a huge play in my culture or whatever, but that's just kind of how I was raised. And for me, that's where I feel most comfortable.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I know that Tim likes to ask this question.
So we are going to do some fun stuff in a second, but I just wanted to, before we are done taping, you had mentioned you have stepkids.
I have
Can you
three.
can you go into it, like maybe short but not too short, the scenario in which that came about to be?
Yeah, so
Well, her
I
partner
was
has kids.
well, that's typically how it goes. But
Yes,
so
I
like
understand.
we are common law. We're not married.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would still call them stepkids. Sometimes I call them bonus kids, depend on where we are.
Yeah. And you're the
Um,
bonus mom.
Yeah, exactly. Bonus cool mom.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
don't forget that piece. But I was on a dating app during the pandemic and I met, I was swiping my life away and I met Matt, who's my partner. And I asked him right away, as you do, especially in your late 20s. It's like a pretty prominent thing that you need to ask.
Yep.
And he did have kids. It's like the first thing you ask somebody is, have you been married? Do you have kids?
Yeah.
He's like, never been married, have kids. I'm like, oh, you do? How many? He's like terrified to say because like three is like some people run out the door. And I'm like, okay, I really already liked his look and his vibe. So I'm like, I'm going to give it a benefit of the doubt. I like kids too. I do. And he said, I have three. I'm like, holy smokes. Like, do you have any baby mama drama? Because that is something too.
That's
that
a red flag.
Yeah, like I don't want to get involved in that. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
But he did. He had three. They were young. They still are young, I guess, but they were younger. It was 5 years ago now, so
Yeah.
4.5 years. I don't know. So they were young, and I was like, okay, they're super cute. Send a picture and stuff, and I was like, this is gonna be difficult, but co-parenting was good for him, and there was no like red flags. It was like, happy hunky-dory-ness. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, so I'm, and then I said, do you want to have more kids? And he said, yeah, that's a really tough one. He said, but I also understand that if I were to get, remarried and my partner wants to have children, that would be something I would explore with them. Like
Yeah.
right off the hot, no, I don't want another kid, but 3 is good. But like when you get into a new place and a new space and with a new lover and everything like
Yeah.
that, it's something to consider. So he does, because that's something for me is I want my own children as well. So
Yep.
who knows? We might be like Sound of Music, ton of kids.
Does Sound of Music have a ton of kids?
Just about to make
Really?
the comparison when you said that.
Nice.
But I don't have to now. So
Yeah.
I had to ask you about that before we finish.
Absolutely.
So the question I have is, what is one piece of advice that you would give someone today that you wish you had when you were 18 years old?
18. I think for me at that age, because I was going through so much with my mental health, I think it would honestly be very simple, and it would just be that everything is gonna be okay. Because it was like the world was so big, and there's, thinking about being 30 and thinking about what you have to do when you grow up and then right now, and like how am I ever going to get out of all of this chaos? I think like everything will work out. Everything's going to be okay. Have faith and stop spending so much time like eating yourself alive and like just dwelling in all of that. It's just like everything's gonna be good, dude.
Yeah.
Like, like chill. Like that's honestly what I want to tell myself. Like everything works out. And my mom
Yeah.
always tells me that. She was like, everything will work out. We know it will. It always does. And so like I wish I could tell myself that, because your mom telling you that is like, yeah, whatever, mom. doesn't count. But I think for me it would just been everything's gonna be okay. And that it doesn't matter what other people think.
Yeah.
So just do you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's good to have a sense of humor. I was listening to Jerry Seinfeld talking about that. You go through enough crap in your life, you got to learn how to laugh.
You do.
And you mentioned that you and Jasmine have a good sense of humor, which will take you a long way. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
absolutely. Yeah.
So we're going to transition to some of the end stuff that we do that are it's a bit more fun.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm into it.
I have a couple.
Not that the whole episode hasn't been fun.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, where's your if I had the reader on your forehead, where's it at?
Oh, I'm actually doing really well right now.
Okay,
like,
so, like,
I
the
would say
battery-
like I've been charged up a little bit from this
Right.
because
Oh.
it's a small setting and it's like real stuff.
Right.
It's not like politics or like fakeness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I actually feel pretty
I'll
good.
need an actual number.
Okay, I'm gonna sit at 70.
70.
That's pretty good.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where were you at when we started?
probably about a 50.
50 to 60.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you're
Okay.
gaining.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You're gaining energy.
it's the tendency piece,
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Okay.
So, first of all, there is a huge issue and question and debate between the two of us.
Okay.
And I need you to help us solve this debate.
Okay.
There are two scenarios that Greg and I argue.
I'm confused at this debate.
And one is this considered a mustache and a beard?
Oh, this
Oh.
debate, yes.
Or is it one beard?
Like what you have right now,
Well,
or like what you both
what
have?
we both have.
Okay.
Is this a beard
You can judge
comp-
based on mine instead of
beard?
Tim's.
And I've just started mine. It's getting there. I'm not asking you for critiquing mine. That's fine. But is this considered one beard or a beard and mustache combination?
Well, I think that it's kind of a. I'm just staring at your guys' face. I would say it's a. Well, that's a really good question. But what about goatee?
Well,
like, where's the goatee fall into?
So the goatee would
this?
be
this part, right? Like
yeah.
the connector,
Yeah.
the
This
connection.
is a simple question. You don't need to.
I'm gonna
ask-
say it's gonna be a beard.
Yes.
Okay.
What would
Correct
you? Are you
answer.
saying it's separate?
So he says that I have
I-
a mustache
no,
and a
I say
beard.
just because you have a beard doesn't have your mustache cease to exist. It's there's all. It's this
Do
is
people
still a
not?
mustache.
Like I can't even think about what somebody would look like
Like some
without
Amish,
it.
I think, have no mustache, but they have a beard.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
right?
I can think
Yeah.
of that.
And then there's
now.
a goatee that's just the bottom. Like that's just goatee.
What about soul patches?
And then soul patches.
Those are crazy.
Yeah,
Those
they
are
would be
fun.
So that's checking that off the list.
So I was right so far. So far.
So far, okay.
More people have agreed with you.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Question: top 3 places to go on a date in Manitoba.
What? No, do the whole thing. I changed it for you so that
No,
you can.
I'm adding this one first. Top 3
Oh, okay.
places to go on a date.
Okay, well, I think like I've never been there before, but every time I see pictures of it, I'm like, that looks like a good date place. It's Pine Ridge Hollow.
Okay.
Okay,
Been
never
there many
been
times.
there.
I've been to the
Get
like
the beach
Is it?
chip,
before.
get the beach chips.
Is it really good for
The
a
beach
date?
chips are so good.
See, there
Yeah.
you go.
The restaurant. I've only been to the restaurant. I haven't been there since they changed it all into like a whole
Apparently,
village.
it's great.
You just went
But-
3
Yeah.
weeks ago.
Okay.
That's great. Yeah, and you get a free dessert if it's your birthday, and they don't even check
It's
your.
always my birthday when I go
Yeah,
all
no,
places.
literally.
So
Yep.
You just tell them it's
That's-
your birthday.
So
I hope
Pine
they
Ridge
don't watch
Hollow.
this.
If you ever get there, that'll be one of their places.
Yeah.
And then 2 other places that you have been to.
well, I know like they have. I just went to it in the winter, but I don't know if it's like an all the time thing. I think it is now, but it's one of those candlelight concerts. Have you seen them in your advertisements?
We're going next weekend.
Okay, it's incredible.
This
I
week-
went to the
this week-
Coldplay
this weekend
tribute.
coming up.
I did Coldplay tribute, and it
Yeah.
was super cool.
Ours is
Taylor Swift?
Shoot, no, it's not Swift. I think it's the Beatles, and
Ooh, that would be a good one.
And I'm forgetting now.
That would be a good one.
It's our anniversary this weekend.
Okay,
so
yeah, we
we
did
just-
ours. I think we did ours just for Christmas or something, like just to go after Christmas for like a together thing. But that was a super cool,
Yeah.
super cool
This will
evening.
be our first time, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you'll really like it. It
Good.
was super cool.
Okay.
And now your go-to restaurant that if somebody came from out of
Ooh.
town, you're gonna like take them to this restaurant. This is that restaurant that you go to.
A&W fries.
Yeah. Oh, it's a go-to. I think it depends on the person and how much I want to hang out with them again. You know, like if it's an intimate setting or not.
Yeah.
But we went to. I don't know how to say it. It's Enotica or Enotica. Like Enotecca. It's like the new kind of vibe where you share plate. So you order the one, like you
Oh.
order a bunch of different things.
I
It's like
would not
Nola.
that place.
Right.
It's like Oxbow type vibe.
We're not
You
getting into
can't
it
share
again.
food.
No,
We've gone over this in other. You can't.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it again.
But I
Tim.
do like to share food.
It's
was-
just awesome.
it was actually
the vibe
Jasmine's
was good,
episode,
and
too.
their asparagus
There you
au
go.
gratin was like we tried to recreate it when we got home. It was nothing like it, but it was amazing food.
Yeah, and I always ask that question because I like new data ideas.
Yeah, you
so
should go there. It's incredible.
there
You should go to Pine Ridge
Yeah.
Hollow too.
We go every couple months.
I know.
We love Pine Ridge Hollow. The person that dead or alive that you would most want to spend 20 minutes to an hour having a conversation with.
Ooh, that's such a good one. Dead or alive?
Yeah.
Wow, that opens it up.
And if they're
right
dead,
up.
they're alive now.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're there. Honestly, I think my like as soon as you asked it, my first hit my brain would be Bob Marley.
Yeah.
And just because like I try really hard to take on that vibe of how he perceived the world and how he perceived stress and how he perceived issues and like glorified peace. And so I think that is like where my initial brain went. And then my secondary thought where I kind of like pushed it away. I was like, no, not right now. Was Joe Rogan.
Oh
And
yeah,
so-
Joe Rogan.
Those
would
are
be
two
fun.
good names.
Those are like I was like,
Yeah.
these are contrasting but also good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you picked
Yeah.
one alive and one dead person.
Yeah.
So that
So
works.
I
And-
gave you two, even though the
Yeah.
question was one.
Have you seen the
Yes.
Bob Marley movie?
Yes, I have,
Oh,
and
it
it's
was good.
incredible.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm doing this part this time, Tim. So you can just keep score.
Can I explain it?
Yeah, you
'Cause
can explain it,
jump
but
in
I'm gonna do
every
it.
time to explain how this works, how this or that works, even though you can pick one or not the other. He goes into this whole rambling thing about explaining this or that. You have two options. You have to choose one of the two options. You have to choose one of the two options. You can't say I am going to
I defer,
pass.
right.
I defer. You can't say tie. These things don't exist.
So originally, Tim
Again.
said you could say pass. Originally,
No.
Okay.
Jasmine actually picked none of two of them.
Wow.
So she was the only person that Tim allowed to not pick one.
Yeah.
But you have to pick one.
Okay.
And this has been added over the last couple of years. When you pick one,
Years. It's been 30.
sorry, episodes. My apologies. When you pick one, the other one does not exist.
Okay.
Okay,
You're
may not have
literally-
the other one for till the dawn of time.
Like it's
Yeah.
just
You're
gone.
speaking the other one out of existence.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
So
so,
Greg will
ready.
now give. Are you ready?
I
For
am
this
ready.
or that? The lightning round. Cue the
Lightning round.
music.
Oh, okay.
So you can explain why as well. It's not that lightning round. So if you want to stop and explain why and explain yourself, go ahead. Apple or Android?
Apple.
No comment.
I've
this
been
time?
winning. I've been winning the last few, so it's okay. I'll lose one.
Okay. Beach or Europe?
Europe.
Pizza or pasta?
Pizza.
Wait, she's second guessing it.
Like, I love pizza, but I also love pasta.
Yeah.
Like, Italian is just the way to be. I think pizza.
And you're Portuguese. Like,
yeah, I think
pasta's-
pizza just because my partner doesn't ever let me get it, so it's kind of like this, like.
He doesn't let you.
Yeah,
get
he's
it.
always like, "Oh, pizza."
I'm gonna order in some pizza. No, you can't.
Yeah, he's like, "Why? Why can't we ever order anything else?" I'm like, "We never get it, man." So
I'm not-
Have you had
I
Little
think-
Pizza Heaven?
Oh yeah.
Have you
Oh, yeah.
had? Well, obviously you've had Santa Lucia.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other one that we had recently?
For pizza?
Yeah.
Domino's.
No, not.
No, it was not very good.
Anyway,
didn't stick with you.
So this is why I don't go to buffets. My wife just won't do buffets.
Oh, she won't.
No, because
It's-
the touching and all that
Yeah, like see, it's like one of those things. It's like,
but
a
you're okay with taking food
surprise.
off my plate.
stuff. No, I'm okay with it. She's not.
Yeah, she's also okay with not taking food off my plate.
Yeah, but I enjoy
It's a
it.
lot of.
Yeah. It's my happy place.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Pizza's my happy place.
Yeah,
Sappy rom-com or action movie?
Sappy rom com.
of course.
Wow, that's generalization.
That's the right answer.
Okay. Counseling or public speaking?
Ooh, public speaking.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So if you could, then you wouldn't be able to counsel anymore. You're now a public speaker for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That would be the one.
Karaoke or dancing at a club?
Karaoke.
Really?
You have a
Yeah.
good voice?
Perfect. So,
Sometimes I think so.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Lorraine, can you hit the music? It'll come up on the. No, I'm just kidding.
She's like, you didn't prep me for this.
Podcasts or books?
Podcasts.
Staycation or vacation?
Ooh, vacation.
Of course.
Morning person or night owl?
Ooh. I think like a night owl, but I want so bad to be a morning person. Like I just I
Wanting
desire
to be something is not.
I
the
know,
same
like
thing.
I think like in my later years, as I'm saying, as I grow up and
I endeavor to be a morning person.
Yeah, like
but
it's
right
just
now.
like right now I'm pretty crusty in the morning. So
So you're a night owl.
yeah, we'll go with that.
We'll go with that one. Travel for work or work from home?
Ooh, and one has to disappear.
That's right.
What is travel for work?
Like,
To where?
like she's going to
only-
Vancouver.
Downtown?
She's going to
Oh, okay.
Calgary. She's going to all
You
these
know what? I'm gonna
places.
say work from home because my social battery would be just lagged. Like it would be so bad if I only had to travel for work.
Okay.
Yeah,
Spontaneous adventure or carefully planned trip?
carefully planned trip. Absolutely.
So you are a 2? Is that a 2, Lorraine? On the Enneagram?
More like an 8 because you're.
An 8.
That
so,
was off.
so we'll find. Well, I don't know the answer. We'll find out though when you do the Enneagram.
Yeah,
Let's see
send
if
these
you
to me
are.
tonight, 100%.
Binge watch TV or a movie marathon?
Ooh.
So like all 3 of the Back to the Future movies or a whole season of This Is Us. I'm not saying like those shows, but like
I could
those
do
are
Harry
examples.
Potter back. Like I could do Harry Potter.
movie
all of the
marathon?
movies. So yeah. Mhm.
Board games or video games?
War games,
Mindfulness or blasting music?
blasting music.
And the last one is being a guest or being a host on a podcast.
Being a guest. Yeah.
It's easier.
Which is interesting because I have one.
Yeah.
But I just think this is great. You guys are so organized. Like I didn't have to do anything for it.
Tim says the same thing.
Yeah, that's exactly
I don't do
it.
anything for us. What
I
day
just
is
show
it?
up.
And that, the last question is my beard or Tim's beard?
Well, I feel like it's not fair.
I'm just kidding.
It's
No,
not
you don't have to
fair.
answer that one.
Unless it's mine. Otherwise, don't answer it.
I will say that yours looks a lot like Matt's does right now.
Okay.
So that's good. Brownie points for that. Right?
So I have not tried to grow this out since I was 18 years old. We did a production at our church, an Easter production where everybody had to grow a beard and mustache combination. I should clarify.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but wait a second.
I clarified, and it was so bad that I thought I had PTSD that I never tried again after that. So I was like, it's been 40 years, or sorry, 30 years. My math is off.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're not 58.
I should try again.
Yeah.
Get back on that proverbial horse.
Yeah.
So he's been doing it for a whole month.
How does it feel?
3 weeks. Itchy.
How do you feel?
Itchy.
Itchy.
Good.
But do you think he could pull off just the mustache? I think he could pull off just
it'd
the
be
mustache.
a duster and a half.
Yeah, right?
It really
Right?
would be.
Put it in the buffet file.
Yeah.
And I got one last question before we close off the show here is, have you ever done something
Mhm.
to change your appearance
Mhm.
and your significant other didn't notice?
Yes, Botox.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long did it take them to notice?
They never did until I told them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I could have went for that forever and he would never know until I
Has-
was like, watch my forehead, I can't move it. But yeah.
Has he ever changed something and you not notice?
Yes. Yeah.
But did
they're
you
very,
eventually?
like, so he's like, I trimmed my sideburns.
Oh yeah,
And I'm like,
that's
what?
so much.
That's
I
like
would
small.
never
Yeah.
even notice that. Or he's
Yeah.
like, just things like that. Or like I shaved this side of my hair just a little. I went to a 2 instead of a this. I'm
Yeah.
like,
That's not enough.
and he's like, I've been flaunting around all day and you haven't said anything. Mhm.
I've changed something and Lorraine hasn't noticed, and now
Like
it's
still?
been 23 days. So
You don't know what it is right now?
she doesn't know what it is.
I'm
So
hoping she never ever finds out. And I feel that you're just going to drop hints till.
no,
it's-
I haven't ever dropped a hint. That's all I've ever
Okay.
said.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Are you gonna, like,
one day
tell
she
us
will
on the
know.
podcast?
One day.
Nope.
We're not gonna.
You're going to have to find out on
Do you
your
know
own.
what it is?
Of course.
What do you mean, of course?
Of course.
He notices things.
He pays attention.
Anyway,
That's, yeah, you told you.
you would have noticed. Anyway, well, thanks for joining us today. This has been a
Absolutely.
fantastic conversation. I hope that Tim's learned something from this.
Many things.
Yeah.
Many things.
A myriad of things I've learned.
I've learned that I can go to Elkhorn and go to the spa,
Yep.
and there will be almost nobody there.
Yeah.
And I will love that
On Wednesday.
because I am an
midweek.
introvert
Yeah.
with extroverted tendencies, meaning that, like, if I go to that spa, I want it to be as empty as possible.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I want to hang out in the spa with just a couple people.
Yeah,
Right?
And you won't have to do naked massage.
exactly.
That's a whole other thing that we have discussion.
Oh, that's a whole other thing, eh?
The can of worms. Do you wear underwear when you get massaged or not?
Yeah.
So anyway, so we will discuss that off the air. So thank you for watching the Greg and Tim show today. We appreciate everything, and don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and comment on what you think of Tim's beard, because he has one. And if you know what's different about me, and you notice what's different about me, feel free to put the comments in the comments below as well.
Yeah.
So anyways, Tim, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, and thanks to our
And
guest.
thanks to our guest, Aly.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Thanks for watching the Greg and Tim Show podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. Sharing is caring.